I'm happy to announce that today we've got Judie Fee as our instructor. Let me change the slide, get that caught up. There we go. Judie is a member of our team here in Salt Lake area. She comes from a medical background, nursing, I believe. Judie will correct me if I'm wrong on that. And she is today an entrepreneur. She is a very successful businesswoman. She is just rocking it in all aspects of her business, and we're excited to have her here to give us instruction today. And most importantly, I think she's a good friend. Judie, good morning. How are you? I'm so glad you're with us.
Hey, Ron, can you hear me?
I can. It sounds great.
Ron, thank you so much. I really admire how you've taken this job on, and this like you've really made this your own, and I'm really proud of you. I'm really excited, and thank you for the kind introduction.
Well, thank you, Judie.
So let's jump in. I'm gonna go ahead and admit that I'm slightly terrified, a little bit nervous, and hopefully y'all can be patient with me as I get through this. I want to share my screen. So do I have the opportunity to do that?
You bet. Go right ahead.
Share screen. Yes. All right. So the way that I see these is these are like success webinars, right? And I feel like Scott Rowe called his success webinars, but I put them all together. And I feel like what we talk about all the time is success, like the success that our people are having, the success that we could have, all of the ways that we can make our team better. It's so beautiful and so awesome, the magic that's happening all over the country, but especially here in the Salt Lake Valley. And I want to talk about the F word. I want to talk to you guys about failure. And I want to talk about it because I think that failure can also be called the learning curve. And I really wanted to talk about this thing because I've been having some conversations with some people throughout the community. And this is the thing, no one gets to skip the learning curve, right? I've been, for a few months, I've been basically interviewing our leaders and asking for their perspective on this thing, on this concept. And the other day we were in a group and Mitch Nelson had said, failure is essential, right? No one gets to skip this part of the process. Not too long ago, I was talking to Matt Snyder outside of an event, and he had been telling me about a conversation he had with Bob. And he was talking about how Bob had asked him, hey, Matt, how long do you think the learning curve is for people to really start getting this business? And he said about 18 months. And and obviously that's like relative, right? Obviously, some people it's going to take a little longer. Some people can do it a little faster. I'm at about 18 months now. And I finally feel like I'm gaining some momentum. But I want to talk a little bit about my experience previous to this. And for the purposes of this training, I'm going to talk about our thoughts, our voices, our liars, and our demons. And all of those words are interchangeable. And some of you on the line might know what I'm talking about. And some of you might not be having this experience. You might have not had it yet, but I can promise you that someone on your team at some point is going to have this kind of experience. So how do I check the chat when? Thank you. So all of these words are going to be interchangeable in the way that at some point, somebody on your team is going to have the experience, right? And I want to encourage every single one of you and across the country, and I want to encourage you to encourage your whole team to talk about it. I want you to talk to your 5-star. I want you to talk about when you're having thoughts like, I must be broken, I must be bad, everyone around me is having success, and I just can't get this right. There must be something wrong with me. And I want to tell you there's not. You are not bad. You are not broken. You're doing it exactly right. And I would make the argument that if you're having these thoughts, then you're on the exact right track. We do not have a leader that did not go through this part of the process. There's no way to get around battling your own demons to get to success on the other side. And I really hope, like, I want to drive this home so hard, because it's a normal human experience to have the thoughts that tell you you must be mad, you must be bad, you must be broken, it must be all wrong. Maybe you're on the wrong path, right? All those thoughts are so normal, okay? About 4 months ago, I was deep in these thoughts and these voices and these demons. And even I had thoughts that went as dark and as deep as maybe the world would be better without me. And any of you that know me know that that's crazy, because I'm adorable and lovable and kind and friendly. But if even I could have thoughts, basically for the first time in my life, that if I can't do this right, I must be not worth it, then I want to make sure that anybody who's having those thoughts has permission to talk about them. And if I didn't have such amazing leaders that I can turn to and talk about it with, then I don't even know. Thanks, Shelly. So, and I want to be totally honest. Like, I'm a person who quits and runs away. Like, I would have never done it. And at never point was it real, right? I had the thoughts, and then instantly I was like, that's a weird thought for me to have. I don't have those kinds of thoughts. And then I went and I talked to Christian about it, because Christian is not only my 5-star, but also, like, the world's greatest boyfriend and friend. But I also, thanks guys. But I also want to make sure that you guys have permission to, like, think those thoughts, and remember that let's do this. Am I allowed to switch to, if it gets really bad, it's okay. Like, it's okay to have those thoughts, guys. Just, like, talk to somebody about it. Engage, don't disengage, okay? Like, and if you've never had the thoughts, that's totally okay. Sometimes it's not that deep or that dark. Sometimes we're escaping into alcohol and drugs. Sometimes we're taking our lack of success out on our family and the people we love most. Sometimes we just completely want to disengage and hide from the community. Sometimes, like, it can look any which way for you, right? It can look like anything for you. And I'm telling you that it's okay. Engage, right? And I'm not going to say, like, if you can't go to a meeting without feeling like total crap about yourself, then go just to talk to your 5-star and tell them that that's what's going on for you, right? Like, it's okay for you to have all of that. And I promise you, it is one of the, like, bases, as, like, you're running the bases to get to success. It's one of the places that you almost have to go. I can't think of someone that I had interviewed about this and talked to that didn't tell me that they also had to battle their demons. And what happens for us as we come into this community, we see this beautiful experience, this beautiful community. Yeah, it's really scary. We see this beautiful community, and we see people having massive success. We see people living lives that we wish we could live, and we think that we can get there. We finally feel like some hope, and we think we can get there, and then it's harder than we thought the promises said it would be, right? But what we don't see is that Michael Huggins has been around for, I think, 7 years. It took him almost a decade to get to where he is. Christian Sadler has been around for almost 13 years, right? Christian's been around for almost 13 years, right? At the beginning, he had just as hard a time as any one of us are having. Any one of your leaders right? I feel so blessed and grateful for Nate Lambert, who came up on the regional stage and talked about this same thing when he was accepting his award, when he, for making $100,000 in a month, right? Every single one of your leaders have gone through this process, all right? So I don't want any one of you to think that it's abnormal, and I don't want you to think that any of those thoughts are true. And that's why I call those same thoughts the voices, the liars, the demons, because they're not you. They're not yours. It doesn't even make sense that you would think these things about you. I am going to talk to you guys. I'm just gonna share all my embarrassing stories. I'm gonna talk to you guys about the Leaders Retreat in August. So we had this amazing plan for the Leaders Retreat where I was gonna go to New York to drop off my dog with my family, hug and snuggle my nephews, and then from New York, I was flying over to Cancun for the Leaders Retreat, and then Christian and I were gonna go do a whole nother like Cuban excursion with some of the other friends and leaders, and there was all of this exciting stuff, right? And before I flew to New York, I actually flew to New York from Boise. I was visiting my team in Boise, and so on my way to Boise, I went to grab my passport and my brain said, you don't need that, you're only flying to New York, it's domestic. So I leave my passport in Salt Lake as I'm going to New York, right? So I go to Boise, I take my flight to New York because you can do that with a domestic ID. And then on my way to my flight to Cancun, I realize that I left my passport in Salt Lake City. Not just like at my mom's house in New York, but in Salt Lake City. And I realized that there's almost no way that I'm getting to the Leaders Retreat on time, and I have no idea what to expect. And in my mind, I started saying the meanest things that I could have ever said to myself. Like, how stupid could I possibly be? What kind of idiot leaves their passport? And all of you already know this, right? That if one of your friends left their passport, you'd be like, haha, you're so silly. Like, go get it and get to Cancun so we can have fun and play, right? Like, let's make this happen. And you'd be so kind to your friend. But as I'm looking at myself, I am ripping myself to shreds. And that's kind of one of the things that I want to say is I want you to pay attention to yourself. Like, are you being as kind or kinder to yourself than you would be than you would be to a friend, or are you tearing yourself to shreds? So as you observe your own thoughts and your own experience, I want to say, like, I want to give you some actionable items. I want to give you some actual tips, right? I don't want to just like say, it's cool, you can have terrifying thoughts and talk to someone, right? But the first thing is talk, right? Talk to your 5-star, talk to your leaders, talk to your family, your friends, talk to me, and especially, I'm gonna say, as vulnerable as it sounds, talk to your team. Because we need to really know that this is just part of the process. Because what happens, so in the middle there, I've got goals, and I wanna talk about that in a minute. I'm gonna save that one for a second. But as I look at energy over here in your monitor, manage, and master your energy, we already know that, like, you can think of your own experience where you get into these stories about yourself. And for those of you that this, I just think that this makes sense to everybody on the line. But when you get into those stories about yourself, sometimes it gets obsessive. Like, can you guys like give me some comments if you're like, yeah, it can get really obsessive. My stories, you can even do them privately if you're like, I don't know that I can share that with the whole community, but in a private chat, I can say that sometimes, like, it's like a spiral, right? You're like, yes, we're going, like, okay, refocus, rewind. I got distracted by the chat. Yes, the spiral of shame. And Joshua, I'm sure that this recording is going to be posted in the Facebook group, and then more stuff. But what happens is we go into this spiral of thinking where all of our energy is wrapped up in our story and in our thoughts and in our demons and liars. All of our energy goes to that, and you already understand what's about to happen here, that then you have no energy left for your business. Like, you can't run your business if all of your energy is going into just managing your thoughts. And so what I really want to talk about as far as actionable items is like you're talking to people to sort of get it out of you and out on the table, because that already, just acknowledging it, for me, is really powerful. Just acknowledging it, for me, takes its power away, right? And then when we talk about monitoring, managing, and mastering your energy, what I mean is just notice the thoughts, right? And we know that we can do this, right? Sometimes we get into the thoughts and we go down into this spiral of shame. And sometimes we just notice that the thoughts are there. You can just notice, like the way that I said 4 months ago, I had this thought, maybe the world would be better off without me. And then right away I said, well, that's a weird thought for me. I don't think that's a useful thought for me in running my business. And then I went and talked about it. So first, just notice that you have the story, the voices, the demons, the thoughts. Just notice that they're there, and then you're going to start managing them. What's going to happen is, as you notice you have the thought, whatever yours is, right? I'm a piece of crap. I'm not good enough. I'm bad. I'm broken. There must be something wrong with me. Whatever your thought is, you're just going to notice it, and it will trigger you to get into action. And that's how you're going to manage your energy, right? And sometimes the action is running our business. And we're going to talk about that when we talk about goals. But sometimes the action is cleaning the house. Sometimes the action is going and taking care of yourself. Sometimes the action is distracting yourself by going to a movie. And I'm just going to say, like, all of that is cool if it takes you away from that thought and gets you feeling better, thinking about better stuff. Okay? The best action we can get into is running our business. But if when we look at that, we're totally overwhelmed and can't do it, then maybe that action is calling your 5-star and talking to them about it, right? Or calling an accountability buddy and talking to them about it, right? So, but get into action. It's like one of the most powerful ways to manage our demons and thoughts and energy is getting in and doing something different, right? I'm going to say this because I'm really in love with this song right now. Everyone write this down and search for it. It's Champion by Carrie Underwood, featuring, of all people, Ludacris. And it's like my power song in the morning right now. I'm in love with it. And all of you that, like, put the song on. Get into affirmations and power statements, whatever it is that changes your state. One of the things I did for a while is I would just send people compliments. Like, whatever I was grateful for about a person, I would send them a message that said, I'm so grateful that you are this person. You're so great, right? And then as you continue to practice that, what'll happen is it will get so much faster. You're gonna catch your thoughts faster and earlier, and they'll already be weaker. And that's when you get to the point of mastering your energy. You master your energy. Thank you, Alvin. You master your energy by it just happening so much faster. And I've talked to a lot of the leaders, and they say the same thing. It's not that the thoughts are gone. And I want you to have this information because this is great. After doing this for how many years and having so much success, it's not that the thoughts are gone. The thoughts, the demons, the voices are still there, even for our leaders. They just manage them faster and quicker than we even understand is possible for the time being. They see the thought and they move right out of it into something that's more beneficial for them. Okay? And so now let's talk about goals, right? So I want to talk about this because I think that sometimes when we're really new or as we're starting, we're setting what did I say back there? Inappropriate or unachievable goals. Now, I don't mean realistic, because I am not going to confine you to what is realistic for you. You guys know what SMART goals are, and if you don't, you can Google it, because I have 1 minute left. But what it is that instead of focusing on the actual money, instead of focusing on the funds that are hitting your bank account, which is what we all want to focus on, I totally get that. And it is the only thing that PAC focuses on, for as far as I understand. To be on PAC, it's about the dollars going into the bank account, right? But our PAC members have been around for a long time, and they're having like the greatest success, right? As we're new, I want to talk about setting different goals. So instead of I want to make $100,000 by June, right? How about just focusing when you're brand new on the ads you place, right? I'm going to put out 15 Craigslist ads this week, right? Something that's achievable and appropriate. Appropriate because you're new. Just focus on getting your lead source out there, placing the ads, getting the drop cards out, putting the signs out. Whatever your lead source that you chose, pick a number for that lead source and just commit to that for the week. And then commit to doing it and get it done. And then do it again the next week and do it again the next week. And what'll happen is as you learn what those 200 drop cards bring in, what those 15 Craigslist ads bring in, what'll happen is all of a sudden you'll understand the number of leads that amount of energy in ads brings back. And then you can create, as you progress, a new goal for how many leads you actually collect, how many conversations you have with leads. And as you find how many conversations you need to have to get a certain number of commitments, you can move to a new goal of how many commitments you're getting, which I believe is the PIT team. The PIT team focuses on not just money in the bank, but the commitments that they, oh, the actual attendant. Okay, that's next. But then you can focus on the commitments. And then after you have a certain number of commitments and you're watching that goal for a while, you can then move into the people who actually attended. This is actually what the PIT team focuses on, right? They have their funds, but also how many guests they actually had show up to events, right? And then we work on close, which just means they're interested, they want to buy. And the next level is who actually funds and puts money in the bank. All right. So I want you to think about having your goals like this. Where if you're really new, just focus on getting your ads and your lead sources out there and don't beat yourself up because we're learning to manage our energy. So don't beat yourself up when you're not making the money you want to make. Literally just focus on the ads you want to place. Or if you already know that you're consistently putting a certain number of ads out there and it's consistently bringing you a certain number of leads, but maybe you want more leads and more commitments, then you can move backwards and put more ads out there because you already know how many leads you're getting from your ad sources. So with that said, I want you guys to know that I love every single one of you so much, and that I really am so grateful for you showing up and listening to what I have to say. And I really hope that this is helpful for some of you. And I also want to make this a topic that you talk to your team members about, because I think it's really important that we make sure people know that it's so normal and you cannot get to success if you don't overcome your negative thoughts. So you guys are total inspirations and rock stars, and I love you, and thank you. Ron, I don't know if I turn it back over to you, but that's what I would do right now.
Well, Judie, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. I hope you'll come back again sometime.
Of course. Thank you, Ron.
Thanks. And everybody else, thank you for your comments. It's been a wonderful morning call. Till tomorrow, everyone. Success.
Good job, babe.